Back in 2021, the European Union made this huge promise, one that really felt like a new day was dawning for animal welfare. But what happens when a big promise like that hits the hard wall of political reality? Today, we're going to dig into the massive gap between what the EU said it would do for animals and, well, what's actually been done. It all kicked off with this. Hundreds of thousands of EU citizens, they came together to demand a really basic change for farmed animals. And their message was crystal clear, coming from the ground up. I mean, this was a powerful, grassroots movement that the EU just couldn't ignore. So, all that pressure from the public led to the first part of our story today, a moment of real hope and what looked like a serious commitment from the European Union. The whole thing was called End the Cage Age. Now, a European Citizens Initiative is this really cool tool that lets ordinary people, people like us, help shape actual EU law. And this one? It was a massive success. The demand couldn't have been simpler. Get farmed animals out of cages, for good. And it looked like the EU Commission was really listening. They came back with what seemed like a solid plan. In 2021, they formally committed to phasing out cages. They even said that by 2025, they were going to have new laws for animal transport and, for the very first time, EU-wide protections for dogs and cats. I mean, on paper, it looks like a huge, huge win. But you know how these things go. That incredible promise pretty quickly ran smack into a much harsher reality. And this is where the story really starts to fall apart. So you're probably thinking, okay, great, a huge victory for animal welfare, a done deal. But the really important question is, what's actually happened since that promise was made?
Well, the reality can pretty much be summed up in one single massive number: billions. That's the scale of the problem we're still talking about. Billions of animals across the EU are still living their entire lives in cages or cramped stalls, right now, today.
And here it is, the heart of the issue. After all that momentum, all those official commitments, there is still no legally binding EU-wide ban on cage farming. The whole legislative process has just stalled. Those laws they promised, indefinitely delayed.
So why the delay, right? What is holding everything up?
Well, it all boils down to a core conflict that's right at the heart of this entire issue. It is a classic standoff. On one side, you have this clear, overwhelming demand from citizens for better animal welfare. But on the other side, you have a lot of national governments who are way more worried about the economic side of things, about how competitive their farming industries are. To really see how this conflict plays out in the real world, let's zoom in on one specific and, pretty controversial industry: fur farming. Now, to be fair, there is some good news here. At the national level, we are seeing some progress. You've got individual EU countries taking action on their own, actually shutting down their fur farms. And because of that, the total number of animals farmed for fur in the EU is thankfully going down. But, and this is a huge but, this brings us right back to the central problem. While it's great that individual countries are making moves, the single most effective solution, a complete and unified EU-wide ban, is still missing. This piecemeal approach just leaves way too many loopholes. So all of this leads us to our final takeaway. The European Union is at a really critical crossroads, and it's facing a fundamental choice about its own values. And this quote really just captures the whole situation perfectly. The EU has this genuine chance to become a global pioneer, to set the standard with bold, forward-thinking laws on animal welfare. But right now, it's just falling short of that potential. So we end on that huge, unanswered question. What's it going to be? Animal welfare or economic interests? Is the EU going to honor the promise it made to hundreds of thousands of its own citizens? Or will those economic concerns keep winning out? The path it chooses next is going to define its commitment to the very animals it pledged to protect.